So when you're memorizing an essay, I do it like a speech. You can watch a video on YouTube about it. Just type in how to memorize an essay. Jettle, it's on there. To memorize an essay, I basically print out a document, a typed up document with my draft essay. I then look at the introduction. So I do one paragraph at a time. I look at my introduction and I read the first sentence of the introduction out loud. And then I put the paper away. I don't look at it. And then I see if I can say that sentence out loud. If I cannot say it out loud without looking, or if I make a mistake, I look back at the paper, read the sentence out again, try and concentrate then on the bit that you forgot or the bit that you messed up. Really make a conscious effort. You'd be like, okay, I forgot that bit there. That's how that starts. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. Okay, I'm not looking at the paper anymore. Say the sentence out loud. As soon as you can say a full sentence out loud without looking at the page, then you do the next one. And as soon as you can say the next one without looking, you say both of the sentences together so that you're constantly reminding yourself of the previous sentences. And you continue that process until you can say the whole introduction out loud. And then what I do is I grab a piece of paper, like you can see here. I grab a piece of paper and I write it out without looking. So I've been saying it out loud without looking until I can do the full paragraph. And then I write that paragraph down to basically cement cemented in my memory there, okay? And then I move to the next paragraph. Hope that helps. Then you continue, you just do that paragraph by paragraph, keep saying it out loud. It's going to save you so much time. Don't try and memorize your essays simply by writing them out again and again. That's very, very time consuming. You can basically say your essay out loud 8 times for every 1 time that you can write it out. So think about that from an efficiency standpoint. Is it possible to memorize all my essays from now until trials on Monday? Yes, it is possible. Hopefully that's the last thing you have to do. But remember, before you memorize, time the essays. So if anything, tonight, if I was you, I would quickly write out my 3 essays and make sure they're hitting that 34-minute mark. If they're not, you have to rapidly cut down things that just don't need to be there. Reduce your essays to its essential parts so that you don't run out of time on the day and you have time to actually adapt to the question. I think you can actually memorize an essay in about 2 to 3 hours if you do that method that I'm talking about being really disciplined and doing it like a speech. Do one essay at a time. Don't memorize half of one essay and then start memorizing the introduction to another. You're going to confuse yourself, okay? So do it one at a time. You do have time to do it. It will take a lot of time. It will probably take almost all of your time until Monday if you're starting the memorization process now, but you do have time, and I would say that's going to pay a nice return for you if you can do that, because you'll feel more confident, more comfortable on the day to answer that question, as long as you have timed those essays and make sure that you're not just going to regurgitate them on the day. You need to adapt them to the question, which is why they need to be 34 minutes or less. Hello, Jettle. Hello, username. I can't see anything else there for the name. Should I write an essay or memorize short analyses of quotes? It's a subjective thing. Personally, I used to memorize everything. I would still memorize everything because that's how I work. I think you can still get full marks in an essay without having memorized a full essay. I just think that if you memorize something and you know that you can do it in 34 minutes or less, so you're allowing for a lot of time to adapt to the question, and you spend all your attention on the day adapting to that new question and thinking about that question, then that puts you in a pretty good spot. So personally, I like memorizing basically the whole essay, but if not, if you just memorize kind of your key points, so you know what you want to talk about in each paragraph, and then of course you need to know your quotes and techniques and roughly what you're going to talk about. Even as I say that, it basically sounds like you're learning the whole thing anyway. I would just learn as much as you can, but at the bare minimum, of course, you need to know the key points for each paragraph, like what you're going to write about in that topic sentence, and then you need to memorize the quotes and the techniques. But I would also want to know how I talk about that generally. Even though I'm going to answer the question, I want to know how I'm going to start that sentence, how I'm going to finish that sentence, how I'm going to continue that sentence. Why not know all of the sentence structure stuff so that you're not wasting your time on the day thinking about those things? I want all of my attention on the day to be answering that question. That's the most important thing. That's why I memorize an essay that's much shorter than the time that you're given. So that's my advice on that. Is there an easier way to memorize essays that are less time consuming? As I said, I think if you want to memorize the whole essay, doing it like a speech is the quickest way. A couple of hours per essay, 2 to 3 hours if you're really disciplined with it. Is there a quicker way? Of course, there might be some other ways, and certainly like learning trigger words. So trying to remember one key word in each sentence in a row. So if there's one word that you had to remember in a sentence that would help trigger your memory for the rest of the sentence, what would it be? What's the most distinct word? What's the most specific word that you've written in that sentence that you're trying to memorize that's going to help you remember the rest of the sentence. So I would implement a strategy called trigger words if you can't memorize the whole thing and you just want to memorize basically basically how the sentence looks. Then you can focus on one trigger word per sentence, especially in your analysis. One trigger word that is going to trigger your memory, because you still should read over it a lot. But if you see that word and you remember that word, you think, that's the rest of the sentence. So sometimes words can act like an unlock for the rest of the sentence. So that can be an even more efficient way of doing it.